Welcome. I am Fernanda Paiva Hitchhiking Stars. Welcome to my channel. And today is Transits Friday. So we're going to have a look at the transits, what's happening in the sky, and how can we navigate this energies in the best way possible, in the most constructive, empowering, and positive way to create the lives that we want to live. So this is kind of the take that we're having in this channel. And that's how we're going to be looking at the transits of this week. And today we'll be talking about the lunar phase. We'll be talking about a couple of aspects, Mercury changing signs as well. So there are a few things that are happening this week. And I think that's reflective of a particularly busy week, potentially, in our lives as well. So you know how I keep saying that new moons have a connection to rest, slowing down. If you're a freelancer, for example, you might notice that you don't have as much work to do and, you're kind of thrown back at yourself. I think that's a very common thing to experience during the new moon. And what happens when we have the first quarter, which is, the first square, the first 90 degrees between the moon and the sun, is that things just start picking up again. And we start kind of getting busy again, things are showing up, our work is requested again. And so it's a nice reminder to look at the lunar phases in that way, so we don't lose our heads when the restful phase of the cycle, so we don't think that we should be productive ad nauseum. So basically we're going to be looking at that. We're going to be looking at the chart, which I'm going to share my screen here for you and show you all of these different movements. We'll be talking a little bit about Venus as well. I mean, Venus will be moving retrograde on the 23rd of July. So that's about a month. Today, in fact, is a month before. So some astrologers consider that the shadow of Venus already, because it's, in the path towards retrogradation. And we're going to talk about Venus, not the Venus retrogradation, though. We'll talk about the Venus aspect in this week. So there are a couple of aspects that are very much connected with the potential for healing. So there's a lot of potential for healing, potential for becoming busier, and also another side of this week, which will be connected with something that happened during the new moon as well. And I'll show you that. So Mercury will be crossing the degree of that new moon. So I'll show you all in the chart. And please do write to me how you've been feeling, what's going on for you. I love to see these transits and to have this sort of Transits Friday, to have a little bit of a catch up as well, and to know how the week is going for you. So I find that learning astrology is so helpful when you can track what's happening in your life and sort of make that connection with the sky as well, even with the fast moving planets as well, because you can get a sense of the moods and how you've been traveling, how I've been navigating these moods. And for me, it was a good week, really. I mean, this week was being pretty good. A lot of work sort of picking up, a lot of exciting things work-wise as well that's happened. My partner's birthday, he's a double Gemini, so it's Gemini season. I mean, it's not anymore. It was the end of Gemini season during this week. And that was really great. It was great fun. Change, I got a new pair of shoes as well, and I'm sort of like still down that road of like building a sense of personal brand and building a sense of identity, because we keep moving, like planets keep moving, and so does our sense of identity as well as we get older, as transits activate our charts and etc. And there's also something very exciting, because I'm working on a video about Chiron. And so I'm reading Melanie Reinhardt's book about Chiron, and it's been so interesting, so fascinating. And I didn't think about Chiron with so much depth before. So I can't wait to be able to share it with you. I'm hoping that I'll be able to share it with you on Monday, maybe latest Wednesday, or the following week, the following Monday. So let's see how fast I can work through all of those details. Anyhow, let's move on to the chart. There we go. And talk about the astrology of the week, really, and what's there for you to navigate. And there's some exciting bits, including the healing sort of bit here as well that we're going to be having this week. So first, what's really happening is this week we're going to have a Mars is square Uranus. So Mars coming to form a 90 degrees with Uranus at 21 Taurus. And that's pretty much happening tomorrow. So tomorrow, Saturday, the 24th of June. And that does represent a stronger need for space, a stronger need to do things in a more autonomous way. So you might be less patient. It's not really the day to compromise if you can avoid it. It's not really the day to compromise what you really want to do. Like there might be a lot more impatience in the air and less willingness, to compromise and to do it. And if you do, there might be resentful that comes up from it. I think the Mars Uranus really needs that sense of freedom, that sense of space, of autonomy, etc. So tomorrow is a good day for autonomy. And also Mercury will be coming, look at Mercury 23 Gemini. So Mercury will be coming to those degrees. They're 25 degree and 27 degree on Monday. So on Sunday, we have Mercury moving to the exact degree of that new moon. So the new moon happened at 26 degrees Gemini, is square to this Neptune at 27 Pisces. So there's something about Mercury coming to that very same degree that might be reviving something that we were confused about during the new moon. The new moon square Neptune may have been reflecting confusion, but also free reign on brainstorming new ideas and having a sense of how to bring inspiration back into our lives. I think this lunar cycle could be connected with bringing spirituality back into our lives, bringing a sense of interconnectedness as well. I published I put out a video. I don't even know what the vocabulary is. So I put out a video all about Neptune. It's very long video that I did, but like full of really good information about how to interpret Neptune, but in a sort of an open manner, like a kind of a brainstorm what the symbolism of Neptune can be. So I think if you're curious to brainstorm about this lunar cycle as well, that's a good day to go back into that video and have a look if you're interested. And think about those potential themes that Neptune relates to. What's important and relevant to you right now in your life, because it might be one end but not the other. You might be an artist, and this might be a way of renewing artistic inspiration in your life. And so on Sunday, when Mercury moves to that degree, you might have some kind of insight. It might be a great day for meditation, for going inwards, for doing artwork or spiritual work or charitable work. With the charitable work, Neptune, because it's a square, is really, really important to remember that boundaries are healthy and that it is important to keep your sense of boundaries there as well. Like sacrificing for another person, which is one of the themes of Neptune, might be a little bit, might be the wrong decision that you make during this time, because it's a square. You don't maybe that person doesn't really deserve your sacrifice, or doesn't. So it's really important to keep track to these tendencies. But when it comes to doing your own personal work, this is a great time for you to let your imagination come out, to somehow get creative. I think that Venus, Mars, and Leo there is also kind of bringing that sense of summer in the Northern Hemisphere, at least, and the need to create, to express yourself, to be playful with that creativity as well. So this could be another way of experiencing this this Mercury, reactivating that new moon, the degree of the new moon. So that's definitely there. This is going to be happening on Sunday. So Sunday is a great day to sit in meditation, do some spiritual work, do some soul searching about inspiration. what could bring inspiration into your life? How could you reignite a sense of inspiration in your life? Write some poetry, you know, anything to do with that. So here we have Monday. Monday is the day of the first quarter. So this is the sense of, you know, becoming busier. And I think that kind of pervades this week because of the, you know, the lunar phase and the sense of the fertility cycle that the moon sort of represents. And so coming out of that shell, coming out of the you know, the slowness and the going downwards into the underworld, you know, into our winter with the new moon. And so the first quarter is that movement of like, really, we're like stepping away from that, and we're beginning to pick up and do more things and, you know, be a little bit busier. So this is the day when the first quarter actually happens. And we still have that Mars square Uranus. So the Mars-Uranus square will be there and within orb for a few days. In fact, is a good day, that Monday, to get stuff from your to-do list done, because the dynamic energy of that Mars square Uranus that needs to do something, you know, the heightened energy of that Mars, I think, even if it's disruptive, a potential disruptive energy, you could be applying into getting things done. And with the first quarter, I think that's also a good kind of a good moment to do it. Then you'd be sort of navigating these transit in a positive way. And that's when Mercury is an exact square to Neptune as well. So just paying attention, being careful, you know, with communication, with what you say, what you understand, making sure you really understand what people are telling you. Ask 1, 2, 3 times, you know, don't be shy to repeat what they're saying and say, hold on, let me see if I understood what you mean. Is this, you know, just be careful with miscommunications, and be careful with, you know, fraud as well. That's another thing that I think about Mercury square Neptune there. So on Monday, you know, if you're doing some shopping online, if someone sends you a weird shady link, you know, it's just to be careful with impersonations, with fake profiles, with, you know, buying something from a fake website or anything like that. So just be extra careful that you've seen things for what they are with that aspect. Right? So we move on to Tuesday, and that's when Mercury shifts to Cancer. So this was the other aspect, the other astrological aspect I wanted to talk about. I like to think, you know, when the sun has moved already signs and then Mercury sort of follows up, there is this sense of the Cancerian season's starting, like, you know, is really picking up that Mercury. And so our minds will be shifting as well. And I guess that Mercury square Neptune is already a sense of a more watery way of understanding the world, of communicating with each other, of moving around and navigating. And so when Mercury moves to Cancer on Tuesday, we might have this sense and realize more of that shift. And I think this is also a shift in the general mood and the sense of a potential healing on issues that we've been, you know, dealing with, that we could also look into a little bit more. We could think about it a little bit more. We might want to communicate with our families a little bit more, with loved ones, you know, those classic Cancerian themes there as well with that Mercury moving to Cancer. But definitely the communication slows down. And I think it slows down from Mercury square Neptune already. It just slows down a little bit more with Mercury entering Cancer. The communication gets a little bit more protective, but more intuitive. And I think this is the key here, because from Tuesday, Wednesday, towards the rest of the week, we're sort of take a turn a little bit more to the water element and to the water signs, because not only Mercury moving into Cancer, but we're also going to have the moon moving to Scorpio. And I think that's going to be happening on Wednesday. But as well, Venus forming a trine to Chiron. And I said I've been like reading a lot about Chiron, and it's very relevant. And even like looking back at some of the transits, some of the key moments when I had Chiron transits, and it's just really really fascinating archetype that we're dealing with. I mean, astrologers talk about the wounded healer when we think about Chiron, but it's so much more than that. There are so many different facets to Chiron. And so I'm very glad I'm exploring it a little bit further, and I really am looking forward to sharing it with you. But I really feel that this trine from Venus to Chiron is something. Remember, I mentioned that a few times before. Bernadette Brady talks about transits, trine transits, where there's 120 degrees between 2 points, 2 planets, as removal of obstacles. So we're removing obstacles on our sense of self, our sense of values, our self-expression as well. We're talking about fire elements. But this is very important because that trine is going to happen a couple of times with Venus turning retrograde. So in July, we're going to be revisiting that. And so it's great to pay attention to what happens this week on Wednesday and Thursday, while this Venus will be very, very tightly trine that Chiron Aries, healing our sense of individuality, but also her self-worth. I think, if there's something that's really great about Venus being in Leo, is this unshakable sense of self-worth. Venus in Leo at best. So there is a potential there for healing the sense of self-worth, and individually speaking as well, like without depending on someone else's validation, which will be the Libra sort of aspect. We're talking about Chiron Aries. So a very interesting placement here, very cool aspect during this week as well, which will reverberate next month when Venus is retrograde, as I said. But that also brings this feeling of the water element of, the healing, the potential healing that we might experience from mid to late next week. And this is Thursday when we have this Grand Trine. Now we're going to have this Grand Trine in water. And it's with the moon in Scorpio, so it won't last very long because the moon moves a little bit faster, but it's definitely pretty exact between Saturn in Pisces, Sun in Cancer, Moon in Scorpio. And again, for me, that screams of healing. If we think about trines as a removal of obstacles, grand trines are great grand removal of obstacles, and it's all to do with our emotional expressions. And how do we deal with our feelings? How do we deal with our emotions? How can we relate with, granulate emotions, and like find out vocabulary to talk about emotions? That's a great opportunity for that with that Mercury in Cancer as well. I've been listening to a lot of Brené Brown's works, and this book by her, I think it's called Atlas or something like that. It's just amazing how she's mapping out all of these different emotions. And they're so important when we need to communicate to partners, to family members, to loved ones. Our sense of connection, is such an important and crucial part of our health, of being in our optimum. So with this Grand Trine there, we could explore these a little bit more. We could be more aware of how to do this, of how to express the needs, the emotional needs more clearly as well, and somehow do the work that South Node in Scorpio is still reflective of. We have the nodes moving as well in July. So the nodes will shift on the 18th of July. And I'm going to do a whole video about that as well, about the nodes, about the North Node being in Aries. So I think that we have that sort of like a little bit less than a month to tie the knots and to do this work with the South Node in Scorpio, to let go of all of the congealed emotions and the grudges and the things that are kind of holding us back. Yeah, from creating this more abundant life, creating the relationships that we actually deserve, that we really want to have. So a very special end of the week with this trine, between the sun and Saturn as well. And I mean, taking responsibility for our emotions, that's a great one for this week. So really keep your eyes peeled during this week and navigate this, because it seems like a wonderful opportunity to develop emotional intelligence as well, and to dive deeper into what emotional intelligence looks like as well. So deepening our connections, our emotional connections, knowing more about our emotional needs as well. Mercury will trine eventually that Saturn as well, and so we'll be able to have a clearer communication as well, potentially, with that trine. It will be supporting that. So very interesting week, and I keep saying interesting all the time. I need to look at my thesaurus again. I got some more words. I just really love that word. But yeah, it really looks like a powerful week for us to work with certain things there with these different movements. So that's it. I hope that's being helpful to you. I'm wishing you a wonderful week. I hope that you can make the most of these transits, and especially towards the end of the week with those potential, healing aspects there between the planets. So let me know how you feel. What do you think? What's going on in your life? And what would you like to see me talking about? I'm doing this video about Chiron next, but I will also be doing one about the asteroids, which I'm very excited. I'm also researching about the asteroids. I'm particularly interested in Vesta, and I can't wait to tell you all about it as well. So let me know. And in the meantime, have a wonderful weekend, a beautiful week as well, and I'll be seeing you all soon. Bye.